Welcome back. This is your host, Noura Almasri, and this is Echoes of Impact. Now, as I told you in the beginning, I'm going to have a great guest for you. The branding consultant, the amazing branding consultant, actually, I worked with in order to brand my own company. So I didn't want to keep the secret. I want you to all take advantage of that and learn from the best. So welcome, my friend Talyn Rahman. Welcome, Talyn. Thank you so much for coming here with me today.
Thank you so much, Noah. I'm so excited to be here and huge congratulations on your show. Like, who would have thought 2 years from now you would have your own TV show? So, this is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for being here with me. Can you actually tell the audience a little bit about your background, about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, hearing by my accent, I'm not from here. I'm from London, and I moved to the United States in 2019. And back in Europe, I was a diplomat consultant, which was my first company where I actually did personal branding for politicians and diplomats who were very high up the food chain. And my job was to remind them, hey, you're representing people. Don't forget that. Now, let's remind you why you wanted to become a public figure to begin with and connect you to the people you're supposed to represent. So, when I moved to America, I wasn't in DC and I realized, wow, America is full of entrepreneurs who started their own business and there was this huge entrepreneurial spirit, but many of them were very poor at branding themselves and showing off as businesses that I would like to work with as well. So I realized personal branding was missing, and that's what I decided to do. And now I am the personal brand consultant of Boss Diplomat.
That is awesome. And this is really exciting. And it's very hard to find someone like you. I love working with you. So, can you let us know a little bit about branding? Why is it important? Why can't I just do a business without being branded? I have my name.
And that is so important, right? That is so, so important. Having your name in your business. But if you are invisible, if you're a ghost, if you're not showing up in your business, you're like 99% of other businesses who are doing exactly the same thing. So, what if you became that 1% instead who really shows up in your business, who talks about this specific niche in your industry constantly? Over and over again. This is how people are going to not only know you, but you're going to become a specialist in your industry. And because we're now pulling in the personal brand element, we're not just talking about what does the business look like. What I'm doing is showing up and saying, hey, what does the business owner look like? How are you showing up in your business? And then how do we make sure that your business brand evolves with you? It moves with you. There's so many things and goals and aspirations that you have. Your brand needs to move and evolve with you. So that's what I specialize in. It's more than just the business, it's actually the business owner behind the business.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I remember when we started working together, um, you had me on that call trying to ask me questions. You got me on tears. So, how do you get us so easy in tears?
Look, all I'm doing is learning more about you. Without you, there is no business. Without you, nothing is going to happen. So my job is to really learn what is the reason why you started this business. Because a lot of your clients, anyone who works with you, that's going to be the first natural question that they have about you, but they just don't know how to ask it, or they feel as though it's not relevant for them to ask. So if you're opening that door by 1% to show them how you started your business, why this really matters to you. And this is really personal to you. You chose this specific business for a reason. And my job is to say, hey, why not just share that information? So, Noura, when I was learning about you and why you started Noura's book. wow, there was an incredible history behind that, right? And your journey to America is just as unique as my journey coming to America. And then we learned about your nonprofit background, and all of a sudden it made sense why you were working in the nonprofit area, but working also in taxation, tax planning, all of that finance stuff. It made sense because it was part of your backstory. So now, when you're sharing your backstory in Noura's books and all of the amazing things that you do with your clients, there's a fire now, there's a passion behind it, your personality is shining through it, and none of that would have been possible without you sharing that story with me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being able to actually getting all these out. And now I love my colors. I didn't love them before. It was just standards, looks like anyone else. And I was telling them in the beginning of the show about my logo. How was it? And then when you said, like, why did you have this logo? And then we changed the logo. That was really, once you asked me that question, I was like, yeah, I mean, I hated the logo that I had
Yeah,
before. And then even though I did not think about it before. So it's really important to have someone outside of you, like looking, especially if that person is the expert. Now you might think you know how to do branding. That's what I thought before. I thought like, okay, I'm good with branding. I love to look good, like my website to look good, my social media to look good. I want to have a logo. I thought I'm doing everything perfect. But then when I met you and then like you told me about what you're doing and we started working together, I'm like, oh, wow. It's just a different world when you're working with a professional who knows about this, and especially when that's someone like or not you. Like it's even if you are the professional doing the same thing for yourself, it's always good and better to have someone from outside looking. And if that was you, like you were working with the diplomats before, this is how it came actually, the name, the Boss Diplomat.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I was like, I need to honor that diplomat part of my history. It's a big part of my history. I trained as a diplomat for the United Kingdom, but then a lot of ethical reasons um, basically stopped me from becoming a diplomat. I decided this was not the right career path for me. However, if I was a diplomat consultant, if I was a consultant for diplomats and that audience, then I can work with as many different countries and officials as possible. And boom, that's exactly what I did. But and my old company was actually called Grassroot Diplomat. And Grassroot Diplomat is an evolution of my company now, which is Boss Diplomat. And the reason why I named it Boss Diplomat, again, there's a lot of intentionality behind everything that I choose in my brand, because everything I do for myself, I replicate it with my clients. I will ask all of the hard questions, all of the whys. My job is to read between the lines of everything that you share with me and then pull that information out of your brain without you knowing, of course, and then package it up and then show you exactly what your brand is worth. And this is how we turn you into a premium brand. All of the things that are unsaid, all of the things that are in your head, it is really hard to know what information is important to your audience. But like you said, when it's coming from an outside perspective, it's easier for me to figure out what is the most important elements about you as a personal brand to your business. And having that outside perspective helps because I don't know you the way you know yourself. Not everyone needs to know everything about you. It's not a reality TV show. And that's why having an angle and what is important and how your entire personal brand is attached to a higher purpose, that's what I focus on. And this is where you are at right now, Noura.
Yes. Yes, no, this is really great. Like, a lot of people, they are hesitant to show themselves. They don't want to show them their pictures. They don't want to be on video. So a lot of my friends, like who wants to actually went to college with me and they wanted to start their own business, they tell me, okay, I want to start my business, but I don't want to have my picture. And there's this resistance, especially in the beginning, but then they realize that's not going to work. What would you tell people like how they want to separate between their business and themselves, like
Yeah.
what do you tell these people?
Oh, well, the first thing I would say is let's check out your competitors and let's see if your competitors are doing exactly the same thing that you're doing. Looking at what your competitors doing gives you so much information. So in your world, Noura, in taxation, there's you'll see how do people show up in that profession, and then are you doing the same thing? Are you making the same mistakes as them? Are they just as invisible as you? Because if you're suddenly visible, if you're suddenly saying, hey, clients, I am looking directly at you, I see you, you see me, you're not invisible, you're not a ghost, all of a sudden, you're building that trust even before your client has met you. So look at what your competitors are doing. Or what you can also do is I do this for free. I do a free 30-minute brand session. We can check you out. I can see what you're doing wrong, and I can also see what you're doing right. Not everything you're doing is going to be wrong. There's going to be things that you're doing absolutely amazing. Let's make that better. Let's make that so good that you can't be ignored. And that's actually my tagline for Boss Diplomat.
That's awesome. And we're going to continue the conversation after the break. This is Echoes of Impact with Noura. We'll be right back. Stay with us until we come back with Talyn again.